Welcome everybody. My name is Jos Bergman and I'm working for Technology2Enjoy as a PeopleSoft consultant. And I would like to give you a demo about PeopleSoft Page Composer and Page&Field Configurator. What is Page Composer and Page&Field Configurator? These are tools enabling you to make changes to pages in PeopleSoft without having to customize. So the changes won't affect your upgrade, as the changes are considered a personalization. Page Composer enables you to make changes to the fluid approval pages, whereas the Page&Field Configurator enables you to make changes to all the other pages in PeopleSoft, both classic and fluid. The changes you make using these tools can be migrated to other environments using application datasets. Drop zones have been delivered as of PeopleTools 857, enabling you to place fields on fluid pages. As you can see, Oracle is constantly evolving PeopleSoft. And by delivering these tools, it enables customers to personalize PeopleSoft instead of customizing it. Therefore, it reduces the impact on upgrades and it reduces the cost of maintaining customizations. In the live demo, which we're going to do in a minute, I won't be going into the drop zones. I will be focusing on Page Composer and Page&Field Configurator. But I do want to discuss the drop zones briefly in the next slides. What are drop zones? Drop zones are delivered as of PeopleTools 857. These are delivered areas on a PeopleSoft Fluid page in which customers can place custom or delivered fields. This is done through a subpage which customers can create and then associating it to the drop zone. The benefit of drop zones is that it doesn't affect the upgrade, as the delivered objects are not changed. Oracle is also considering to deliver drop zones for classic pages. Here's an example on what a drop zone looks like in Application Designer for a particular fluid page. You see, in this particular example, you see that the page contains a middle drop zone, which you see here, and a bottom drop zone, which is here. And you can create a subpage and then select the fields you want to see. In this example, we're adding employee ID to the subpage. And then once this subpage is created, you can then go to PeopleSoft Online and go to the Configure Drop Zones page. And then here on this page, you can search for the component that contains the page with the drop zones. And then you can associate the subpage that you created to the page that contains the drop zones, as you can see in this example. And then once you've done that, once you have associated the subpage to the drop zone, then you will see it on the page itself, the fields that you've added on the subpage. So in this example, I've opened up the personal details page on which we added, which contains the drop zone. And as you can see here, you see the employee ID that we added to the subpage. And the subpage is associated to the drop zone on this page, and therefore we see the employee ID being displayed here. So drop zones are also a great way of adding delivered or custom fields to fluid pages by creating a subpage. And that doesn't affect your upgrade because you're not changing delivered objects. You're building around them through a subpage. In the live demo, As I mentioned already, I won't be going into the drop zones for the sake of time, but we will be discussing how to add a field to a fluid approval page using Page Composer. And we're also going to change a field label using the Page and Field Configurator. Let's log into PeopleSoft to start with the demo. Let's first start with showing you an example on what the Page Composer does. And then after that, we will move into the Page and Field Configurator. So I'm going to open up the Page Composer tile. And for this particular example, we're going to change the fluid approval page for vouchers. The managers have expressed a wish that they would like to have the payment terms field added to the fluid approval page. And with the Page Composer, we can do that. So to show you here, let me log in as a manager, opening up my approval tile, and then going to vouchers, and opening up a particular voucher that needs to be approved. Now let's say the managers have expressed a wish that they would like to have the field payment terms added to the page. For example, they want to have it below the voucher source. And we can do that through Page Composer. So let me go back to Page Composer here, and let's open up the definition. Click on Approvals, Search. And then go to voucher approval here. And then we're going to go to the header detail. And then here we see the fields that the manager sees on the approval page. And then we're going to open up the toolbox. And then as you can see here, underneath the toolbox, we have these are actually views. These are actually views that have been delivered by Oracle. And you can also add your own views by adding them to the Page Composer developer. In this case, we're just going to use the standard delivered views. As you can see here, we have a view called Payment Term Information. And let me just open it, and let's add the payment terms to the approval page. So I'm just going to drag the field payment terms to the page, like so, and then placing it below the voucher source. And then let's go into the let's click on the pencil to go into edit mode. And then here we can also add a label. For example, let's see here, payment terms. And then let's say we also want to make the value, the payment term value, red and bold. So I'm going to select this, the field, by checking it, and then making the color red and bold, as you can see. We can also make the label type short or long. In this case, we can leave it short because payment terms is fully displayed here. And you can also play around with, aligning it to the left or to the center. That's all possible. You can also clear the styles that you have applied. So let's say we're happy with this. Let's click on Done, and let's save this. So now it's actually saved. And now let me log into, let me go back to the manager session again. And let me go back to the, let me refresh the page here. Oh, one moment. Refresh the page. So, and then let me go back to the fluid approvals here, to vouchers, and reopening up the voucher page again for the approvals. And now you can see that the field payment terms has been added to the page, and the value is red and bold because that's how we wanted it to be. And this is basically how you add a field, or this is how you add a field to the fluid approval pages using Page Composer. And you can see how easy it is to use. You don't have to go into App Designer to make changes. It's a functional tool, and it's a great way and an easy way to add fields to the approval pages. And it's a very quick way, and therefore it makes it very easy for your functional administrators to make changes to these to the fluid approval pages. Now let's move into the second topic, and let's take a look at the page and field configurator to see what that does and how you can use that. So let me go back to home. Let me go to this session here, and let me just actually let me just undo the changes we did in my demo environment. So I'm just going to remove the payment terms to the paper basket, and now the changes have been undone. Save it. And now let's take a look at the page and field configurator. So I'm going to go back to my home page, and I'm going to click on the page and field configurator shortcut. Now, let's say, let me open up a new page here, and let me go to the accounts payable pages, to the voucher page. And let me go here. One moment, let me just open up a particular voucher. Oh. And then let's say that the users have expressed the wish that they would like to have this particular label here renamed to invoice number. So not the acronym NO, but they want to have it the full name, the full label, invoice number. So we can change this label through Page and Field Configurator without having to do anything in App Designer. We can do it functionally online through Page and Field Configurator. So let's try to do that. And by the way, you can see that this page is classic. You can also turn this page into Classic Plus mode. That's also possible. So that looks like a Classic Plus page. As a matter of fact, let me do that right now, because it makes the page look a bit nicer. Let me turn on Classic Plus for this page. Enterprise components. Let me see where it was. Common Classic Plus. This is not part of the demo, but I just want to turn on Classic Plus for this particular page. It makes it look a lot nicer than Classic mode. One moment, please. So let me just take this component here and put it in here, and then do a search. And let me just enable Classic Plus for this component. Enable, yeah, and then save. Run it. Let's wait for it to be done. And then, well, coincidentally, you've also seen how to turn on Classic Plus for pages in PeopleSoft now. So that's an extra treat with this. So one moment here. So it's done. So now the voucher page should be in Classic Plus mode. And let me open it. Fine. Let me just refresh the page here. All right, now it's Classic Plus. This looks a lot nicer in terms of the aesthetically. It looks a lot nicer. So let me open it. Yeah. So now it's a Classic Plus display. Okay. So to return back to the demo, we're going to change the field label, invoice number, and we're going to change it into the full label, invoice number instead of NO. So I'm going to go back to the Page and Field Configurator, and we have to copy the component here because we need that for the configurator. So copy the component and then go to the field configurator, add a new value, put in the component, set the market to global here, and then add. I'm just putting in a description, voucher label change. So I've put in the description, voucher label change, it's active. And then I'm going to go to the pencil, select, and I'm going to select, the field or the label is on the tab invoice information. It's on the tab invoice information here. So I'm going to select invoice information in the configurator here. And now we see all the fields that are listed underneath that tab. And we want to change the field label for invoice number, this one here. So I'm clicking on it. And then you see we have a couple of options. We can modify the label, we can hide the field, we can disable it, we can make it required, or we can give it a default value. In this case, we're going to change the label and we're going to change the word NO to the full description number. So modifying the label and then making it number, like so. And let's see here. So that's okay. And now I'm going to go to the, there's a tab user list, and you can also exclude users. So for example, if you don't want this change to be visible for all users, you can do so here. So you can exclude users from seeing that change as well. And you can also do it you can do it by user level and on role level as well. But in this case, I'm leaving it as it is. Everybody can see the change. So we're going to map it to the portal, this particular change. I'm going to select it, apply the configuration. Okay, save it, and that's it. The change has now been made. So let's reopen the page. Let me refresh it, and then open up a voucher again. And as you can see, if we now go to the tab invoice information, you'll see that the label has now been changed into invoice number. And this is how easy it is to make changes to field labels and fields on pages using the Page and Field Configurator. It's a functional tool. You don't have to go in App Designer anymore. You can do so online through the Page and Field Configurator. It's a functional way to do it. And it doesn't affect your upgrade. It's basically the Page and Field Configurator and the changes you make. It's basically a filter that is placed over the page. And it doesn't affect your upgrade. So because it places a filter over the page, and these changes are also migrated. These changes that you make will also be migrated when you do an upgrade. So when you do an upgrade, these changes will still be visible because of the component that you've added to the Page and Field Configurator. For example, if I open it now and I go to Update Display, you will see that these are the components that contain changes made through the Page and Field Configurator. So all your changes are stored here, and they will be migrated as well with an upgrade. And so you can see that Oracle is constantly evolving PeopleSoft to enable customers to personalize PeopleSoft instead of creating and maintaining expensive customizations, for example. And this is all part of that global initiative to make PeopleSoft more to be able to personalize PeopleSoft more in an easy, functional way. And that basically concludes this session about Page Composer and Page and Field Configurator.